People often believe that the brightest lights are the ones that shine the farthest. But that isn't always true. Sometimes the brightest light is simply the one that never gives up. On the edge of a lonely coastline where waves crashed endlessly against ancient cliffs stood a lighthouse. Its walls were old, its paint had faded, its iron railings had turned brown with rust. Yet every evening, just before the last sliver of sunlight disappeared beneath the sea, its lantern came alive. The people in the village no longer looked up when it shone. To them it had become part of the landscape, like the cliffs or the sea, always there, always forgotten. The man who lit that lantern was named Elias. His beard had grown white long ago. His hands shook whenever winter arrived, and climbing the narrow spiral staircase left him breathless. Still, every single evening he climbed all 100 steps, never 99, never 98, always 100. The children often asked, "Grandpa Elias, why do you still light the lighthouse? No ships come this way anymore." He would smile, look toward the sea, and answer, "That isn't why I light it." No one ever understood what he meant. Not the fisherman, not the mayor, not even the young man who delivered lamp oil each week. To everyone else, the lighthouse had become expensive, old, unnecessary. Then one autumn morning, a letter arrived. The village council gathered beneath the old oak tree. The mayor unfolded the paper, cleared his throat, and announced, "The lighthouse will be permanently closed in 3 days." Some villagers nodded. It was only a matter of time. Others simply returned to their work. Only Elias remained still. His eyes never left the sea, as though he had expected this day for years. That evening, the young man who delivered the oil climbed the hill. He found Elias polishing the great glass lens until it sparkled. "You don't have to do this anymore," he said gently. "The council has already decided." Elias smiled without looking up. "They've decided to stop paying for the light." He placed the cloth aside. "But they haven't decided to stop me from lighting it." The young man laughed softly. "You really think someone still needs it?" For the first time, Elias turned away from the lantern. His tired eyes carried a sadness that only the sea seemed to understand. Then he whispered, 42 years ago, someone promised me they would come home before winter." He paused. "I promised I'd make sure they could always find the shore." Some promises are too heavy for strangers to carry. On the final evening, dark clouds gathered long before sunset. The fishermen pulled their boats ashore. Windows were shuttered. Doors were locked. Even the gulls disappeared from the sky. An old fisherman looked toward the lighthouse. "The storm will be here within the hour." Another replied, "Good thing nobody's foolish enough to be out there tonight." High above them, Elias struck a single match. The flame flickered. The lantern awakened, and its golden beam swept across the darkening sea one last time. Far beyond the cliffs, where the storm had already swallowed the horizon, a small wooden boat rose and fell between enormous waves inside. A father gripped the oars with bleeding hands. Beside him, his little daughter clutched a tiny lantern that had long since gone out. She looked into the darkness, terrified then. For just a heartbeat, she saw it a golden light, turning slowly, steadily, again and again. She pointed toward the distance. "Dad, I think someone is waiting for us." The father looked through the rain. At first, he saw nothing. Then the beam crossed the water once more. Hope had found them. Hours later, just before dawn, the villagers woke to the sound of voices near the harbor. The missing boat had returned. The father embraced his daughter as they stepped onto the dock. "We only survived," he whispered, "because someone kept the light burning." That morning, the villagers climbed the hill together. They wanted to thank Elias. They found the lighthouse door unlocked. the lantern still glowing faintly, and beside the great window Elias sat peacefully in his wooden chair. A gentle smile rested on his face, as though he had simply fallen asleep, watching the sunrise. The village never closed the lighthouse, not because ships still needed it, but because they finally understood. Some lights are never meant to guide ships. They are meant to remind people that hope is worth keeping alive, and even today. When storms gather over the sea, the lighthouse still shines, not in honor of the man who lit it, but in honor of the promise he never stopped keeping.